If people look at you like you're crazy, consider subscribing to this channel. And here we go again.
Because I'm a professional.
Banana Land. You're a
I'm a
professional?
professional.
Sierra's a professional over here. She's a professional.
Yeah, I had my phone off.
I'm an amateur. So we were just talking about how all of the progress that has been made to get us to where we are has happened in about the last 9,000 years. And I was just telling old sea monster over here that nobody really thinks it's more than that, which is interesting. It's very rare that science and all the different religions and whatever kind of culminate and make, come to a consensus.
Okay.
And as far as like the 3,000 year difference between like the Muslim tradition and the Christian tradition, the Jewish tradition, 3,000 years in the span of what the potential of the universe is, we can call it consensus, right?
I guess.
Okay, so I'm saying only a 3,000 year difference between a 6,000 year old civilization and a 9,000 year old civilization. In the history of the Earth, the 4 point whatever billion years,
Yeah.
it's a very small discrepancy in what we agree on. I was just thinking about how interesting it is that going from grunting in caves, probably in troops, just grunting was probably the first language. I'm really tight with this one other early human, and we know each other really well because we've been in the same pack for a long time, and I know 2 grunts means this. He knows 3 grunts means this, and we have this little bit of a communication, right? We have these different sounds that we can make that vary that a little bit more. Going from there, no roles of the communities, no architecture of any kind, because there are no tools of any kind. We're talking 9,000 years. We've gone from that to where we are now.
I wonder.
What's that? I can't wait. Whatever's about to happen next. All right, put on your safety belts, kids. You're in for a bumpy ride.
I wonder what the first reaction was when some woman gave birth, right?
That's a...
The first time.
Okay. So there's
In the
not like
history books.
so like if there's anything to evolution, there's no first woman. There's like something that's more and more and more and more and more like a human, and then we are what we are now.
Sure.
Okay.
I guess.
So.
But I'm thinking in terms of like language. Okay, I did.
You know that every time that someone sees a birth for the first time, it's the first time, right?
I guess.
Your reaction's gonna be the same.
Yeah, I
as
mean,
whoever,
I'm just thinking about like
witnessed it first.
when they finally so when like the first time they had language enough to like express, right? The first time it was like it evolved enough so they could.
And that meant do not go in there. Oh man.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez.
Right?
Yeah,
Expression.
sure. Yeah.
The first time that you can like outside of like I need this, but like oh my god.
Oh man. And it's there because it's got utility, right? So anyway, going from there to making the first tools, right? The first spear, the first hammer, the first, something that can chisel and cut a branch. That's awesome. And for that to catch on means that there already has to be like teaching and showing. You could have an isolated event of that, and then it could be another 150 years before the next time that might happen. It's just so cool.
Yeah.
The first time that there is some kind of agriculture, there's a plant and we can eat from this plant, and I pulled one of them up, and maybe if I put it back in the ground like it was, but I do it closer, maybe it'll grow over here.
Yeah.
And then it does grow over there. From there to like an organizational pattern, so that you know this is this and this is this, and now you're figuring out how to grow them best and things like that. It's all magic. From then to now, like the leaps closer to whatever we're becoming. I guess I just respect the amount of time that it takes to come up with the first couple of systems and the first little bit of like, here's a trick.
Yeah.
Somebody figured this out. Trapping,
Sure.
netting fish,
Fire.
the first fire. Think about that. The first fire that someone built by themselves.
Right. So with the giving birth thing, like how do you react to that, right?
Oh, and that's something where like you're the first. You might actually be the first who rubbed 2 sticks together so damn long.
Yeah.
And just had faith that this was going to work out
Yeah.
because it was hot and fire's hot. And so they have something in common.
Maybe he was like,
That probably was it. Masturbating furiously and then just spontaneous combustion. Calls all his friends in. Oh my gosh. I mean, it makes sense. It makes more sense than rubbing two
why
sticks
else
together.
would you just sit there and do that, right? For that long?
Oh my gosh. Holy cow. I'm losing it over here. Anyway, get serious.
And this
Sierra.
is what we've evolved to.
I know, to the point where we can do this. The stuff that we're achieving and accomplishing lately, it's magical, you know. And when I say that, I'm not out of nostalgia, but out of like half wonderment, half holy shit.
Yeah.
The half holy shit might be a little bit more than half too. Because every time I see new technologies come into place, my first thought is, even if I trust the person who's doing this, Elon Musk and Neuralink.
Yeah.
Elon Musk may be the second coming of Jesus Christ, or he might not.
Yeah.
But even if he was, and brings this technology to Earth from on high, how does the next person use it?
Right.
How does a government reverse engineer it and then start using it for other kinds of control over body processes? How long until a technologically advanced nation says, you know what this would be great for? Shutting down criminals. We'll just turn them off. I mean, we'll make their legs stop working. It's wonderful because no more police brutality. You just shut the person's legs off. And now they can't kick, they can't run. You know, shut them off from the neck down. It's temporary. It's going to be so great. It's going to be so great. Your diabetes, don't even worry about it. Now your blood sugar is regulated. Now now you've got like this perfect hold on all of these health functions. And it's true. You have that. You've got someone who couldn't see before and now they can see.
Yeah.
You've got someone who couldn't use the left half of their body before and now it's regenerating itself.
I know. I listened to that podcast.
White knuckled.
Probably, honestly, that section like 3 times through. Because I was like, no way. No way he just said that.
I know, right? Yeah.
So he's talking, in that same video, he's talking about living in an apartment and paying rent.
Right.
Instead of buying a house because he thinks it's more important to get people to Mars. So I think that's why I'm like, save us, Elon, right?
I know, yeah, totally, yeah.
But I'm like, this seems like I get the idea. I get the want to like help people to be able to be the best version of themselves. But I totally get it. Yeah.
At what future cost?
Yeah.
Tell me that somebody else who has nefarious purposes is not going to get a hold of that and figure it out and just replicate it.
Right.
Just like they've done with the Tesla.
Well, and then everybody's in perfect working condition.
Yes, and perfectly compliant. Mm-hmm. You know, it might start off that they shut your body off because you're a murderer and you're trying to run from the cops.
Yeah.
But then, once there are no more people who are doing that because they know they will be caught, you know, they know that if they're caught, they can't do anything about it, then everybody gets real compliant with that. And then what's the next thing we can make people compliant with? And what's the next thing? And what's the next thing? And then how far down the line do we not even ask your permission? We don't even ask if you're for us as a leader because we're going to, lower your taxes and increase programs. Now, we just say, this is what you owe us, and you comply. Honestly, we probably will be so far beyond complicity and payments. Like, if this digital dollar comes through, your money's theirs to do with whatever they want.
Yeah.
Why? Because they have a direct line to your account. You don't even have to pay your taxes anymore. Look how convenient it is. All of your numbers, because they're all being run through a government system, all of your numbers are right here for your taxes. Everything is categorized for every purchase, which you're going to make with your phone anyway. You're just going to hit a category that it goes into, and you'll do all of the, you'll help the machine learning push the process forward so that it knows.
Yeah.
And then you'll never have to file taxes again. You'll never have to pay someone to file taxes. It's going to be a utopia.
Right.
And if you lose your job, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You need to find another one like yesterday. Yeah. And guess what? Everyone else needs to find another one like yesterday, too.
In Ukraine, the government basically has everybody's information to where they can go to a doctor's office, and the doctor's office can just instantly pull up all of their information.
From what? Facial recognition or an ID or what?
I don't really know.
So if this is an integrated medical system, then we're talking about they would have an ID, they would just log in, and then all of their stuff would be
yes.
there.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. You jogged my memory a bit. Jostled?
Sure.
Shaked?
Juggled.
Okay. So everybody has a PIN number, like a serial number or something like that. And that's how you just log in every time you go somewhere.
That's good. We have serial numbers now.
And what?
We have serial numbers
now. I know, right?
I mean,
serial
legitimately.
Numbers.
I
know.
We actually do.
But everybody, like, you don't want to give out your social security number to anybody.
Okay.
Here. But they're like open about their numbers. Like, it just doesn't matter because it's convenient enough for them and they trust their government enough. But nobody has a problem with it. I just wonder how they can be so.
And it's because they trust their government.
Right.
So this is like in How to Enslave the Planet, Brian talked over and over and over about slow and steady wins the race. You want this pot to boil as gradually as possible. Mm-hmm. You're not looking for your generation even to be all that much in power. You're setting up a dynasty with this. The thing that's happening right now is we're getting pushed too hard. Our media is lying to us more than ever, even though we don't trust them.
Yeah.
Leaving out half of the story, no matter where you go. It's a different half, depending on where you go. But no matter where you go, they're leaving out half. At best, they're making things up. They are not reporting on really important stories. Mm-hmm. They're reporting absolute garbage for other stories. Jeffrey Epstein, we know better. Mm-hmm. We know better. Why? Not because the news told us, but because information is everywhere, and there are investigative journalists and reporters who will break stories like this no matter who else doesn't.
Yeah.
So you'd think that in a world where information is this everywhere, and a lot of people have inside sources to different things, you would think they would just get more honest so that we would trust them again. At least then they can give you 90% truth and 10% lies.
Right.
But right now as it is, good Lord, it's what? How much of it is like the truth? 10%? 20%? You can't do that. You can't get away with it. And especially in the information age, you cannot get away with that. But they try anyway.
Yeah.
And so public opinion of the media and of the government, the trust in the media and the government right now is so far down. 30% of people trust the media. Less than 40% of people say they trust the government.
Yeah.
If they really want to do this right, they need to slow the fuck down and let us kind of get used to these changes. I did talk to Brian M.F. Birch the other day, and he said maybe this is a 2 steps forward, 1 step back thing. Think about gas prices in 2000, what was it, 4-ish? You don't know gas prices in 2004. Anyway, less than $2.
Oh, okay.
And in some places, $1.50.
Mm-hmm.
Those gas prices went up over $4 in like a year. It was major. Oh, and actually, oh wait, that might have been 2008, 2009. That is what I'm thinking of. So anyway, before that, it was all under $2 always.
Yeah.
And then it went way, way up to like over $4. Then it came back down to $3, and we were all yay gas companies.
Yep.
Because we were so we couldn't believe
that.
How high the prices were getting.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it. And then it comes back down and it's like, well, that's a sigh of relief. So we got pushed $1 forward.
Right.
We got pushed up 50% in the long run, and we're happy about it. Why? Because it's not as bad as before. And so his idea is like that might be what's happening right now. We're getting pushed to the absolute breaking point so that when they pull it back and just give us a little bit of the freedoms that have just been taken away, then we'll be happy about it. Everything seems so much better. Because do you remember 2020? What a shit show, right? And 2021 is just going to be 50% worse than 2019.
Yeah.
But because it's not 100% worse, then we'll take it. It's bizarre. They're pushing too hard, legit. They have to ease up. They have to ease up or this place is going to burn down.
Yeah.
And everything with it. We do have to think about where we were 10, 20, 30, 50 years ago. Now, there have been a lot of things that we've made a lot of actual progress on. None of that stuff has been at the call of the government. The only things that have had actual progress made to them is because the people have had an outcry and the government has responded. So, I mean, it's just like repeal of prohibition.
Yeah.
They took away alcohol. People had a fit and they did it anyway until the government was like, okay, all right, fine, you can have your freedom back. It's the people who make positive changes. The government's changes, from what I can tell in my lifetime, have all been to reduce the freedom of the people.
Control.
More control,
Yeah.
less freedom,
Yeah.
less money, less wealth spread among the proles, among us, more imprisonment.
Also, if you're talking about the last 50 years specifically, that's about the time when they were doing MK Ultra stuff. I mean, probably a little further back,
Yes, it
maybe
was
like
the
70
60s.
years. That's when they really started to use the media against people and research how it works,
Yeah.
and human psychology in general.
It was a
Yeah.
burgeoning era for all of those things. Just to wrap up that last thought real quick. In 1950, we were hella fucking racist. Homosexuals couldn't even be out of the closet to their closest friends. You just had to kind of grin and bear it. You stayed married no matter how bad it was.
Yeah.
Rape within a marriage was not a thing. Beating your wife, totally acceptable. I hear a lot of people talk about the good old days, and I'm like, what days are you talking about?
Yeah.
When you say the good old days, do you miss racial segregation?
Right.
Do you miss when gays had to stay in the closet? Do you miss when men could beat their wives and get away with it, and women just had to stay? Because those are the good old days that
Right.
you're talking about.
Right.
We've made a lot of progress. All I'm saying is the government has never incited those changes. The positive changes that we've had have been done by and due to the public. Legalization of marijuana, giving people the freedom to choose what they want to put in their body. We bitched and complained long enough, and we got that right.
Yeah.
Not all the states, you know. I'm just saying, like, it's wild. What the government has given us, the Patriot Act,
Yeah.
inflation that's nowhere close to met by the living wage. If you're in that living wage kind of area, you're getting left behind, and you know it. That's why I want to work with people to try to get out of that, like, well, I'm making the minimum wage, because the minimum wage is not going to go up as fast as costs are going to go up. Absolutely. And then we have a rising homeless problem and can't figure it out. More and more programs, less and less pay for the living wage that you would need to make in comparison. Like, a living wage used to mean you could pay rent as a one-parent household and afford to feed your kids and send them to school. Two parents working was like bonus. And then it became where, like, you know, you wanted to have two parents working because now you're really successful. Now it's like two parents have to work to get by.
Yeah.
My goodness, if you're a single parent working at a minimum wage job, you are sunk already.
Yeah.
Now you got to live with siblings and friends, anybody who you can, you know, who can cohabitate so that you can split bills and things like that so that everyone can contribute. So now you've got these packed little houses
Right.
that are like full of people who are just barely getting by as it is. So, and where does that end? As far as the bureaucrats are concerned, nowhere. Who gives a shit, you know?
Right.
So what we'll do, we'll make more and more programs to get people completely dependent on the government. The way that I see this going, when everybody's on those programs, disability, what else is there? And disability keeps getting, the definition for disability just keeps including more and more and more stuff, right? So they're getting more and more people dependent on the government. I think where that's probably headed is, it's going to feel like pretty serious economic disaster for a while, and it already kind of does. You're going to have the richest of the rich paying hardly any in taxes. You're going to have the top 10% paying most of the taxes for the country. They're going to be mad about it, but out of that money comes all these programs, and really out from under your dollar as the Fed just prints more and more and more. But then when they take this away and say, okay, no more free lunch, then what do? You get a government job. And now what are government jobs? Everything. Everything you do is a government job. So, and they don't pay you in wages. What they say is, we'll give you a job, right? So the government breaks your legs, gives you crutches, and says, we're giving you a way to walk. Look at us. You're heroes, right?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, like, that's how it happens. People that are on government programs are like just grateful that they have the money coming in and they don't have to do anything for it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the case forever. I mean, because it can't. So the natural progression that I see of this is like, and I don't know, this might be 50 or 100 years down the road, but saying that you can't just have government programs for free anymore. You've got to work for your government programs. And then guess what you are?
A slave to
You
the
are
government.
a full-on slave. And I'm talking about full-on slavery, beatings intact, because now, guess what? It's illegal not to do your part because the government's providing for you. You do your part, or the cops will come and make sure that you're doing your job. And if you don't comply, or if you resist, you know, if you don't comply, you get arrested. If you get arrested, you know, money comes automatically out of your account. And if you resist, well, then you get beaten, just like a slave. A completely intact slave system where all of the produce of your labor goes straight to the government to sell off as a corporation would, but we just call it government programs instead. Because it's not corporate, right? It's not corporate. And all the while, YouTube and like any major public forum gets sponsored by and kind of roped into government programs. So you've got a public forum like Facebook, and then you've got maybe the CIA contacting them. And maybe you've got, maybe we're figuring out how to work with them so that we can keep everybody safe, so that we can start to track everybody, so that if a pandemic breaks out, then we can figure out who has it and who might have it. And so, like, wouldn't that be a noble goal? Wouldn't that be something like Facebook can work for the good of humanity? You get talked into that one time.
Yeah.
And then you've got a 1984 police state. I mean, like, we are actually heading this direction. And I'm the crazy one, and people like me, we're the crazy ones. I know. A lot of that is speculation. All I'm saying is the further we get down a technological road, and especially the further we get away from the original intentions of those technological advancements, the more hosed we are. And Neuralink is just the best example right now. That's all it is. When we have things like cloud seeding, which is a thing. I mean, it's a real thing where you can spray ionized who knows whatever into the atmosphere, and it will essentially... It'll organize
clouds.
Yeah, it will organize the humidity in the air and create clouds in an area. We have this technology and it's not being used over the fires in California. What are they doing? I mean, what are they doing?
Yeah,
We're going to pray for rain. We're going to have our government officials tell the people, pray for rain. Well, we don't need to. Can we go just put those fucking fires out with some clouds? Do it. So the original intentions behind that was to bring rain to arid areas, right? So that you could save crops and things like that. The guy who started out with this idea, it's a wild story, by the way. I'll link it in the description. But he really had good intentions. He was a capitalist. He was selling his services. It was like, hey, I can bring rain to your field. And then he did it. And now it's been hijacked. The technology.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Once people know you can do it. I mean, it's not going to stay a secret for long.
Yeah.
And all of the stuff that's out there that's available, all of the technology that's being created by us, possibly for really good reasons, is getting picked through. And it's like, well, this is interesting. What if we can turn on and off someone's site? That's interesting.
Yeah.
What if we can control people's search results on the internet? What if we can make a forum that's more popular than television and then not allow certain parts of any narrative? Anything we choose.
Yeah.
YouTube, awesome idea when it started. And then it was bought by Google, which was backed by the CIA.
Yeah.
And that is a fact. This is not me spouting conspiracy theory. Like, actually, you know what? I'll link that in the description also. So now YouTube is the greatest source of censorship out there at all. And guess why they get to do it? Because they're a private corporation. They have nothing to do with the government. They're just
bullshit.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's not a government, it's not like some public utility. It's a private corporation. So they get to effectively silence people. And guess who it seems to benefit? The fucking government.
Yeah.
And when I'm talking about the government, I'm talking about the pyramid scheme that is the people who we don't even know about at the top, and the people below them who we also don't know about, and then some of the higher ups, that we do know about, who are running our most vital systems for a slave system into the future. Anyway, I know how crazy this sounds.
Not to me, babe. I
Yeah.
hope you know that.
I guess I'm just talking to listeners. Like, I know how crazy this sounds. But I mean, all of this stuff is set to go that way. And historically, it always has. Anytime they can use something against the people, somebody's going to get in power who doesn't give a shit about anything but power. Right? It's why they get where they get. You're not going to have someone who reluctantly wants to go into the government and just goes balls deep for 60 years. And that's what we need. We need a reluctant person who's like, the only thing stronger than their sense of reluctance is their sense of having to do something about it and their sense that they actually can.
Yeah.
And I think there are a few people like that out there. Ron Paul just had a stroke today. Yeah. On camera.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was tough. It was tough. And I mean, like, I just had such a sense of empathy. If it was me, my goodness, I would much rather my stroke be in the privacy of my own home.
Yeah.
It could just be news of something that happened, that it was during a press conference. It's tough.
Yeah.
So he really broke down. I feel for him. But I think he's one of the good guys.
Yeah.
And I think they know it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, so he won the popular vote in a landslide in, I can't remember what state it was, Missouri or something like that. And the Electoral College gave their votes to Mitt Romney.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't even win.
I know.
Even by popular vote, you can't even win. And guess who talked about it? Nobody.
I know.
I mean, like, you can still find the footage of, like, and actually I'll link it in the description.
Do it.
I'm glad that there are sources on all this stuff that I'm talking about. And seriously, you listening, you shouldn't take my word for anything. First of all, I'm wrong about stuff sometimes. And I say it anyway. No, you should check all your sources, check everyone else's sources. And I know it takes half an hour to get through one article after you're done checking all the primary sources on everything, and it's exhausting. But it's kind of important. At least it's important on things that you're passionate about. Really dig deep on anything that you have strong feelings about either way. Anyway, all right, I've just been rambling for like 35 minutes.
It's all right.
So maybe I'll stop there. All right, thanks for joining us in Banana Land. If people look at you like you're crazy, consider subscribing to this channel.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe,
Comment.
yeah.
Share.
And if you made it this far, put a
Fiddle.
Put fiddle in the comments. Or a fiddle. All right, peace out. Love you.